This is a story on how the guy gets the girl and asks her to dinner. The guy uses his occipital frontalis to raise his eyebrows at the girls. The origin is the epicranial aponeurosis and the insertion is the skin of eyebrow.
The girls use their levator palpebrae superioris to elevate and retract their upper eyelid. The origin is inferior aspect of lesser wing of sphenoid bone, and the insertion is superior tarsal plate and skin of upper eyelid. The girl uses her corrugator supercilii to wrinkle her nose. The origin is the frontal bone in the supraorbital region, and the insertion is skin tissue of the eyebrow.
The girl uses her orbicularis oculi to close her eyelid. The origin is the infraorbital rim, nasal process of the frontal bone, and the frontal process of the maxilla. The insertion is skin tissue at lateral region of the eye. She also uses her zygomaticus major and minor to smile. The origin is at the zygomatic bone. The insertion is at the angle of the mouth and upper lip.
The girlfriend of the boyfriend uses her masseter and temporalis to close the jaw. The masseter origin is the medial surface of the maxilla and the medial surface and inferior border of the zygomatic arc. The insertion is the lateral surfaces of the angle and the mandible. The temporalis origin is the temporal fossa, and the insertion is the coronoid process of the mandible and to the portion of the ramps below it.
The girl uses her orbicularis oculi to close her eyelid. The origin is the infraorbital rim, nasal process of the frontal bone, and frontal process of the maxilla. This insertion is the skin tissue at the lateral region of the eye. The girl uses her depressor labii inferioris to depress her lower lip. The origin is the lower border of the mandible, and the insertion is the skin of the lower lip and orbicularis oris. She also uses her depressor anguli oris to frown, which the origin is the mandible, and the insertion is the angle of the mouth.
The boy asks the girl to dinner and she says no at first by using her sternocleidomastoid to shake her head side to side. The origin is the sternum clavicle and the insertion is the temporal. The girl finally says yes, and the boy shows his happiness by using his platysma to raise his neck skin and grimace. The origin is the clavicle and the shoulder, and the insertion is the angle of the mouth.
The guy and the girl go to dinner. The guy uses his orbicularis oris by pressing his lips together, tightening and thinning. The origin is in circle of the mouth, and the insertion is angle of the mouth. He also uses his buccinator to chew food. The origin is posterior alveolar margins of the maxilla and mandible, and the insertion is orbicularis oris.
The guy has something in his teeth, and the girl uses her levator labii superioris by elevating her upper lip to show disgust. The origin is the maxilla, and the insertion is the upper lip. She uses her risorius by stretching and grimacing. The origin is the fascia superficial to the massager muscle, and the insertion is the angle of the mouth. And lastly, she uses her mentalis to express doubt, raising chin. The origin is the mandible, and the insertion is the chin. The guy picks the food out of his mouth and uses his trapezius to shrug his shoulders. The origin is the external occipital protuberans and the superior nuclear line. The insertion is the lateral 1/3 clavicle and the acromion of the scapula.
So this is the story about the guy gets the girl by using the muscles of the head and neck.